coming back to school with me. We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson Wood. I'm the board game teacher. Thanks for coming to my games room. Today we're taking a look at Orbital Velocity by Pratap Ramamurthy. So before I get into the report card for this game, I just wanted to say that I did have a chance to meet Pratap and play. And he showed me the game and gave me this copy for review. So it was great to have a chance to meet the designer and everything. And this game is actually, if it's coming out on Amazon, it's just coming out this week. But it is a game that is just being released now, and it's sort of exciting to see a game in this stage now where it's all ready for sale, for retail, but it's not quite there yet. I'm sort of getting a sneak preview on this one, and so this is a very, very new game, and very excited to be a part of this and to be able to help Pratap out with his venture into board game design. So in looking at the report card for this game, I give the number of players a B-. I give it the B- because normally the B is a 4-player game, and this game plays 2 or 4 players, not 1 to 4, not 1 or 3, only 2 or 4. So there's that little bit of just that one condition there, just having to be an even number. It's a minor thing, but it also kind of balances out a little bit in that the game it's semi-cooperative when you play with 4 players. So if you're playing 2 players, it's 1 versus 1. But if you're playing 4 players, you're playing with another person on your team, and then you're playing against another team of 2 people. So that semi-cooperative is kind of fun. I prefer playing with the 4 players because then you have that opportunity to strategize, and you're trying to think and plan and to work with your teammate in order to help to achieve your goals. For learning, I'm going to give the game an A. I think the game has a lot of great learning that is involved in this game, and it's learning that can go from, like, the game is for ages 10 plus, but certainly kids 10 years old or maybe even a bit younger could be playing this game. But I still think there's learning that could be done even with the adults and everything, because the game is called Orbital Velocity, and it actually teaches not the heavy science and rocket science of launching rockets into space, but it does have that theme in it, and within that then Pratap has included a lot of information about the different satellite orbits that are out there, including some extra information in the rule book. So there's that. The game really focuses a lot on addition and subtraction. That is the main mechanic of the game, trying to maneuver rockets into different positions for these orbits, and you're doing so by playing different cards, and you're adding and subtracting numbers. When rockets share a space, you multiply by the number of rockets that are there on the space. So 2 rockets, when you play a card, you're multiplying the result by 2, 3 rockets, you multiply by 3, and so on. So there's some multiplication, a lot of addition, a little bit of subtraction, but then also there's the learning about the satellites, and which is included in the rule book. But he has included on the box for the cards, there is a graph there, so some very minor data management when you're looking at that one. But what the graph shows is the probabilities of each of the cards. How likely are different cards to show up, which again fit into the theme, because cards with small numbers represent very minor corrections, whereas a large number represents a larger movement. And moving a satellite or rocket through space is much easier to do those larger movements than to try to do a very fine-tuning correction. So to represent that, there are fewer of the smaller numbers in there, so the probability represents that. So you're looking at probability, you're looking at, as I said, minor data management, you're looking at multiplication, subtraction, definitely addition, and then learning about all the rockets. So there's just a lot going on in this game, and which all ties in neatly to the theme, which is really cool. For fun, I'm going to give the game an A. We played a couple games of this when I met with Pratap and some different people who were at Level Up Games, and we had a really good time playing it. This is a group of adults that were playing too, so like I'm saying, this game could be played by kids, but it's also one that I think that adults can enjoy as well, because there is that level of strategy in there, and trying to read your opponents and respond to the probabilities and things. There's a lot going on in terms of the critical thinking, so there's definitely something sort of more meaty to keep the adults' attention as well. So I would still recommend that for older people, adults, don't mean old. But then there's still stuff for the kids as well, because it's, you know, the simplicity of the base rules are simple enough that they can understand it, but it's just going to take some playthroughs, some development and things to understand the strategies that are inherent within the game. So overall, it was a really good time and a lot of fun. And so that tension of when you're playing a card and you're putting rockets into the space where it could possibly get onto the spot it needs to be for it to achieve its orbit, and then hoping your opponent doesn't have the card that they need, that sort of that tension at the moment, that really sort of makes it exciting. And that was a fun moment there. For time, I'm going to give the game an A. The game says it plays in 30 minutes, and it's probably about that. I think that's probably correct. I mean, you know, even with rules explanations and things like that, the game went very quickly. Provided there's not a lot of the sort of analysis paralysis, overthinking your turns and things like that, it can go very quickly. And even if you are looking at needing to modify the game to make it shorter, there are 5 different rounds, and you could always just play 3 rounds or even 2 rounds or something, and work to, you can modify, not have to play all 5 rounds if you feel that time is an issue. And so having it so that the time is adjustable in that way is really a great thing to include in a game, because it just makes it that much more easy to transition into a classroom for times where, okay, we only have a few minutes, or if students are finished their work early or something, sure, you can play this for 20 minutes while we finish up the rest of the period with the rest of the students who aren't finished. And that's why I give it the A. For cost, I'm giving the game an A+. Pratap told me that he was going to be selling the game for about less than $25. Let's just say that. It was, you know, somewhere in $20 to $25 range, which for a board game of nowadays is a fantastic price. And particularly in a game like this, again, when you're looking at games and you're assessing the cost, you have to think about the ratio between cost and how much you're playing. If you're going to be playing the game a lot, you're getting your value from the game. If you're not going to play the game a lot, then you know, you better not be paying a big price for it. So, you know, this game in particular is not going to cost a lot, but yet I also see that this game would get a lot of play. So you're really getting a lot of value for your money on this one. And Pratap even said that, and so for that reason I give it the A+. All right, let me take it to the table and I'll show you how this game is played. So I'm just going to give you a quick sense of how this game is played. I'm not going to go into full rules explanations of everything. This is the launch site here, so this is where this rocket starts. Now the thing that you have to get your mind around, and this is one thing that children tend to have a difficulty to get their mind around, is the fact that the rocket is not like one person's rocket. It's not like my rocket, your rocket. This is the rocket right now. And so there's the reds and the blues. So one person's on a red team, the other person's on a blue team, or if you're playing in twos, you have the red team of 2 people and the blue team of 2 people, and they're working to achieve the orbit. Now in the first round of the game, you're going for this first one here, you're going for the orbit of Leo. And as I mentioned during the review section, if I can get it out here, here has things about the physics of orbital velocities and frequently asked questions. There's strategies here. So the rules look a lot more complicated than the game actually is, so don't be worried about that. But he goes into, there you go. So Leo is low Earth orbit. And so there, I just learned something. And so it's talking about the different types of orbits and how they work. And he explained to me while we were playing that the L2 orbit doesn't actually have any satellites currently in it. There's actually a satellite of an orbit of the sun, which I don't quite understand yet, but I will understand, I'm sure, by the time I've finished with reading the book and all those notes he's put in there. But it's, you know, so right now for the first round, we're going for Leo. So we put this clear base here, and whichever team achieves Leo, which means when the rocket goes around, whoever can make it stop on 39 by playing the correct card to add to it to make it go to 39 achieves it. So now, and then what they'll do by achieving it, so it goes there, let's say the blue team got it, they'll put their blue satellite in there, like so. And so the blue team has that point. So if the next round, then we go to the next round, and we're going for MEO, which is middle Earth orbit or mid-range. It is mid-Earth orbit. So, and say red gets that one, so then they put theirs in there, and so on. So with the 5 different orbits, it's going to be the best of 5. If 1 is not achieved, and that's possible, and I'll explain that in a minute, then the space stays blank. You go on to the next one. But if the last one's not achieved, say, then there's a tie. Whoever has the ring furthest from the Earth will be declared the winner. So in playing the game, each player is going to take 5 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you see the cards are black and white. That's because the white cards are even numbers and the black cards are all odd numbers. So at any time, your opponent can ask to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, can ask to see your hand. So they say, can I see your cards, please? You're not going to show them the fronts of your cards. What you'll do is you'll do this. So they can then determine how many odds and evens you have. So they may know, maybe if I had only even cards, that maybe it was safe to go onto a space where I would need an odd number to reach Leo. So you can use that to your advantage as well. Then, as I mentioned also, on the back of the box that the cards come in, is the card frequencies, which shows the potential. There's nine cards, but the lower the number, so the 1 is your lowest, and there's only 3 number 1 cards. There's 3 number 2 cards, 3 number 3 cards, and as the numbers get bigger, the frequency of them increases. There's also, in the white cards, so the even numbers, there's 3 subtracts, and there's 3 subtracts on the odds. You can only subtract a number if you have the proper thing. So this is my hand here. So I actually have one of the ones. That might be a good one to hold on to for later. So maybe play a card like this. I'm going to, this is my opponent's hand here. So I play an 8 down here, and then I move the rocket up to 8. My opponent, I then take a card again. My opponent looks here, and maybe they too will play an 8. So now we're up to 16. And then I play a 5. We're up to 21. Take a card. And then, my opponent only has 4 cards here, so they take a card. And they play an 8 again. And they take a card. Up to 29. So now that I'm at 29, no, the biggest card I can get is a 9. So that would put me to 38. That won't quite make it. So now the strategy here is to make sure that you try to stay close here because there are fewer small numbers. So at 29, maybe I'd play a 7 because I don't have any subtracts. I have to go forward. So I'm going to try and go as close as I can to limit the possibility of my opponent having the card that would take them directly to 39. So 29 plus that's 36. So if they have a 3, and I might say look at their cards, and they only have 1 black card, only 1 odd number, so the chances are low. And yeah, sure enough, they only have a 7, so they feel safe playing a 2. So I go to 38, and remember I told you that 1 would be good to hold on to, so I play the 1, and boom, I've achieved Leo. So maybe say I'm the blue player, so we put the blue one there, and then we get set up for Mio. So and then when you play the second round, you're now playing with 2 rockets. And in the third round, you play with 3 rockets, 4th round, 4 rockets, and 5th round, 5 rockets. So again, now I have a subtract card here. Okay, so I need to make sure I have 5 cards. And my opponent has 5 cards. Okay, so if I play, say I play, I just want to make sure I set something up here. So say I play the 7, so I go to 7, and then my opponent, I take a card. My opponent plays a 7 and goes to 7. So now both rockets. Now you always have to make sure that the rocket, you can't play a card on one rocket if there's still a rocket on the launch site. So now I'll play. What's the biggest one? I got 9. So I'll play 9. So 9, but there's 2 rockets there, so the 9 now doubles because there's 2 rockets on the space to 18. So 18 plus 7 is 25. So it goes all the way over to here now. And play continues. If it, say at one point the rocket, so now we're going from Mio. Say I play a card and my rocket goes past. So say I played a 5 and I went past with that rocket. That rocket is removed, but my hand does. I would only stay at 4 cards. I lose 1 card for every rocket that I shoot past the orbital trajectory there. And say both rockets passed, then that one would just stay blank and we still go on to the next one. And so play is going to continue until we determine a winner, either by who has the most, best out of 5, or in the case of a tie, who has the satellite in the orbit furthest from the Earth. And that, in a nutshell, is how you play Orbital Velocity. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Orbital Velocity. I do actually have plans to play this with my nephews and my brother sometime, hopefully this week. I'm going to try to arrange a time for that. My one nephew actually has his own YouTube channel as well, Charlie's Galaxy. So if you want to check that one out, please do so. And we will be doing a playthrough. I know that Pratap asked me to play with Timothy, but I just think that it would be better to play with maybe kids who are a little bit older. Timothy's still only 7, so I think this game might still be a bit too much for him, whereas my nephews are in their teens, so that's going to be much more appropriate to be playing with them. And if you have any other ideas for games you might like to see on the channel, if you have any other topics of discussion you might like me to talk about, please leave me a message in the comment section below. I do love to hear from the viewers. And if you are a game designer and would like me to review your game on my channel, please let me know. I'm happy to do so. I love to give back to the community as well. Love to see new games being developed, particularly when they are ones that are so well suited for the classroom. Well, until next time, I'm Craig Thompson with the Board Game Teacher saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school with me? We could